Okay? So you have the start date. And if you're in school and you're going to school 35 hours a week, you probably aren't going to really go after that until you're graduated, right?
Right.
So what if you're a Casa Grande? You probably wait till you're out.
Or
right?
After you graduate as well.
Well, you certainly need to graduate, but it might need to be after you get out of Casa Grande, because these companies might not be here. Okay? And unless they change the rules, Casa Grande, I don't think they're going to let you out to go to school in Arizona.
Right. A little bit of a flight risk.
Yeah. Okay? So you have your calendar. What else do we have in it?
Gmail.
Well, let's say our map, right?
Okay.
Where are these places that we want to work? Okay, so we need to make sure we have a map created. So we're going to do this next week. Calendar map. Then we have Voice, which Google Voice. It's another one of the apps that we do. This enables you to leave custom greetings. So if a prospective employer calls you, you have a custom greeting that says, "Hello, Acme Widget Company. Sorry I can't take your call right now. I really, really want to do it. Here's the days I'm available for sure right now. You tell me some other day if that's none of these times are available for you. You tell me a time and I'll work my schedule around you." They will be blown away, because nobody has gotten a custom voicemail greeting yet, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that is a Google app. A Google app is called Voice, and you can leave custom greetings. So it's like caller ID. It takes caller ID and says, okay, well, if this phone number equals that person, you can save a recording for that person. So if they call you, then you're in good shape.
May I ask what the middle word is?
Voice.
Between calendar and map?
Voice. Okay. Google Plus. Okay. So what do we have in Google Plus that helps our employment plan?
Your own
Our community, right? Okay. Then we have Drive, right? What do we have in Drive?
Our resumes, cover letters,
Docs,
pictures.
okay, forms. We can create a form that we keep updated. The form goes into a database, right? So we can put these 3 to 5 companies and you just keep adding to the database. Add more records and more fields. Spreadsheets. Files, other documents, files. You can put that in here. Okay, what is another app? Email. Okay, so in our Gmail, we have canned responses.
And what about YouTube?
Okay, canned responses and auto and filters. So somebody sends you an email, you can have an auto reply. You can create a rule. So if you get an email from the ABC Widget Company, they immediately get a response that says a reply that says, "Hey, I got your, thank you for the email. I got your email. I will get back to you within 2 hours," or something like that, whatever you want. But the key thing is attached to that email, that your reply email could be what? Your resume. What's better than your resume?
Cover letter.
What's better than that?
Thank you letter.
What's better than that? What's better than that?
You call
Your community, a link to your community. And what's in your community?
everything.
Everything.
Everything about you.
Everything's in your community, which includes what? YouTube.
Your picture.
Also
Oh,
includes
that's what
YouTube videos, if you have any.
Basically, what will you use here?
Huh?
What will we use here
For what?
for YouTube?
Well,
Memorization.
if you don't have a YouTube video, if you don't have a YouTube video, we'll put that over here for now. But in the future, with everybody has these things called smartphones, where you can create, do a YouTube, do a Hangout. Instead of always just doing a selfie picture,
Do a selfie YouTube.
do a selfie YouTube of an accomplishment.
Where you're
Getting an award, getting a certificate, doing something that is of value.
And then
Here's
they
the
would-
cake I just baked.
Right, they'd
I'm
be able
pulling
to
it
see
out of the
your,
oven.
Could it also be receiving the memory companies?
Getting the memory book.
A pre-interview type of setting, like say for instance we use that as a background. We just say I'm a prospective employer, blah blah blah, employee, blah blah blah. Just something quick to the point, along
Yeah.
with your
Yeah.
resume, cover letter, and everything.
Anything that puts you in a good light.
Right.
Okay? That's in your community.
So
I like this.
Okay, what else did people say? Somebody said another app. Slides.
No, that's just drive. Excuse me.
Your
Well,
picture.
that's here.
Yeah, I know.
well, that's in your community.
Hangouts. That's Google Plus.
Well, it's all in the. We're talking basically the template, right? That's what
Yeah. So the template are the apps. The apps that we use. Okay, so the 8th app would be Chrome, but we wouldn't need to put anything on Chrome in there. So these are the apps that make up the employment planning template. You get your employers, and then you start saying, okay, I need to add stuff to my calendar. What are the things I can add? Right? Somebody sends you an email that says, okay, let's have your interview on this day. What do? You click create event. It automatically goes to your calendar and sends them an invitation confirming. How many people do you think they get those from? Say 100 resumes.
Not many.
Not 100. Okay,
Sure.
so it automatically starts positioning you as, oh, this guy does know cloud. Okay, you have your map, which is the first thing you need to make sure to do. Once you know, identify who these 3 to 5 companies are.
And you say we're working on that next week, that map?
We're going to do map, make sure everybody has the calendar. We did this. We started this last week, right?
Yeah.
Community.
Yeah.
Whoever does not have a community, talk to the person to your left or your right to get help on getting your community set up and what it's all about. What?
Your employment planning.
Right. And we started doing Drive, right, with your resume. We did forums last week. We do YouTubes every day on this Hangout on Air. It might be, everybody might be so used to it that nobody notices that we're doing the YouTube thing every day. But we do. So this is the employment plan. You start with 3 to 5 companies that you would want to work for. You want to work for them so much, you'd be willing to do it for free or paid to do it. Then you start doing all of this. And what will happen is you're either going to get a career position
Or a job to cover the base.
or a job until you get your career.
Right.
And I think a lot of what ISIS was talking about today was, you know, really very good stuff. You can change your direction anytime you want. If you decide you don't like some of these companies or they don't like you and you don't want to wait around long enough for them to convince you, replace them. Think of it like a Ferris wheel. Okay? People always get off and more people always get on until you get the thing that you want. All right, so California, any questions about what the plan is? Let me try to move this over.
Anyone? No questions, Ed.
Okay, good. So how about if we watch the video?
Okay.
Okay, wait till I move.
Okay.
Okay, we kind of, again, have this misconstruction here. I'm not here for you. I'm here to help you. Okay? This I'm not going to erase until I say, does everybody have this? Okay. All right, any other questions in California?
No questions. We'll watch the video and meet you back.
Okay, good. Now watch this. you go in for your interview.
Yeah.
Good, good. Now, where do you find it? So Jeanette said YouTube.
Google Drive.
Okay, so what is your plan? You look at every video on YouTube to find that?
No, just get his name.
How are you going to get his name?
I find his phone.
How?
Ask you.
I don't. I don't.
Type in, tell me about yourself. Perfect answer.
It's on our Google Drive. Under events.
Where's it on the Google Drive? Because I don't think it's on
Employment
Google Drive.
planning.
You mean Google Plus?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Okay. So now this is a little segue. California, are you back? Dennis?
Hold on.
Are you back? Okay, so this is a little good segue that Dylan brought up. When you're in your interview, when you're interviewing other people, when you're in a business environment, don't put yourself in a position of trying to figure out what people mean by what they say.
Okay, we're back.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Don't try to concentrate on what people mean by what they say. Hold them to a standard of what they say is what they mean. A big part of law school was don't get yourself in this trap of people saying, well, you know what I meant. Because if you try to do this, you know what I meant, like in this case, this is an example, on Google Drive. If I in my brain say, yeah, oh, he means Google Plus, and he says Google Drive, other people might think I agree it's on Google Drive, right? And then it could be like, hey, wait a second. Yeah, so yeah, so don't get yourself in the trap of, I'm just trying to mute California, don't get yourself in the trap of letting people say you know what I meant. Or if they say something and you know that's not what they meant, like in this case. So what did I say to Dylan? You mean Google Plus, right?
You're correct.
Because life gets to be very bad when the conversation is this person says this and you're supposed to figure out what do they mean, and then you say something back. So one thing that always confused me is in prison when people say, you feel me? That's exactly what my answer would be. Well, I understand what you're saying. I hear you.
They don't say
that anymore.
Well, it's been 3 years. What can I tell you? Now, the other thing is when people say, tell them I said, what's up?
Same thing.
Okay?
No, I'm not saying it's, I'm just saying if people are saying it in jail, I'm sure they're going to be saying it's
Okay, so that was just a segue off on the point. Be precise, say what you mean and mean what you say, and expect other people to do the same thing. Otherwise, you're just heading for trouble. Because somebody's going to say something, what they say isn't what they meant. You're going to figure out, you're going to interpret what you think they meant, and it's not exactly what they meant. They meant something slightly different. And you're going to respond upon something that they didn't mean, and you can't hold them accountable because they didn't even say that. Okay?
Think before you speak.
Well, and so in California, in camp, the main thing was before dispute resolution gets out of control, one guy will say to the other one, choose your next words carefully. Okay, what is that a prelude to? Exactly. Choose your next words very carefully. Okay, so, but we're talking about the interview. So in the interview, it is important to say what you mean and mean what you say. And don't ever get yourself in a position of saying, well, you know what I meant, or I meant something different. What's the problem with the acronym EES?
That is good.
Maybe education.
Yeah, Well, the problem is it's not so easy to remember as EES, because in terms of memory, in the next 2 weeks, I think we're going to watch the memory one, is you need to attach things to things that you can know. For example, if I say to you, I want you to remember the name of a guy. His name is Baker.
Okay.
I say to you, I want you to remember the name of a guy. His name is Baker. And I say to Dylan, I want you to remember this position. It's a baker. Okay? So in Dylan's brain, if I say a baker, what's going on in his brain?
Making butter.
He's picturing a baker, a white hat, right? Flour, oven, cupcakes, cookies, whatever. You're thinking of all of these things, right?
Yes.
If I say to you, remember this person's name is Baker, what do you do if you don't associate it with, oh, I'm going to think of the job that's a baker? What do you do? It's hard, right? You might say, well, I grew up next door to a guy named Baker.
Yeah, maybe you remember that involved the name or word baker.
Yeah, so you have to have connections and associations. The problem with ESS is it's hard to associate it with anything, right? Where else do you use EES? Where else do you use that?
The tiger, the backwards C.
Okay, but where do you use EES?
Oh,
Right. Now, if we flip it around and it's C, how can you remember that or relate to that in your job interviews?
C.
Extra exercise.
C.
You can use it like C. Okay, I'm going to go in there and I need to see the path to getting the job. I need them to see.
It makes it
And then you have to say, but I need to reverse it because it's not C. I have to talk about skills last. Right? What do I talk about first?
Education.
Education, right. Then what?
Employment.
Employment, right. And so this is a really good video to watch before your interview. It helps you get focused. And if you answer, if the first question is, so tell me about yourself, and you nail it, what's the guy thinking?
I'm ready.
Oh, he's the perfect man for this position.
This guy, okay, I feel good about this guy. Because what do you think is going on in the brain of the interviewer in the first 30 seconds?
He wants you.
In the first 30 seconds of when you walk in the door?
I know.
He wants to
Yeah.
see if you are
You are evaluating.
He's judging you. What did ISIS say this morning?
You are the cover.
You're the you're the book. They're judging you by your cover.
And you're
That first 30 seconds.
Because I always took that question as being an icebreaker for, the
Okay.
interview.
So now that's another thing that's important. So what do the Marines say about underestimating your prey? Never underestimate your prey.
That's right, you might get trouble with.
Never underestimate your prey. Don't think that it's just an icebreaker. It's not an icebreaker. It's a very strategic question to see how you answer. Rob, can you check on the LTC LV for the 5 document and the rubric?
The worksheet, I see it in there.
Employment worksheet. And if they're there, can we move those over to the employment planning or where, let's figure out where they are. So we have some tools for you to figure out. And in the interview, assume that the interviewer is a professional person. That is their job. They get paid to hire the right people. They get evaluated by how well they do on hiring the right people. Okay, just assume that. If they're not that good, you don't lose. You're not hurt, right? Right. If you overestimate your opponent, in this case, the person who's between you and the job, if you overestimate them, that means you have to be better prepared, right? You're going to get better prepared.
Yes.
Thus, you should perform better, right? Right. If you underestimate them, what's going to happen?
It's gonna
No,
cost
if you underestimate them,
It's
you're
gonna cost
probably going to come up short.
That's right.
Okay.
Because they're going to win.
That's right.
You're right. Okay.
Okay. So First of all, assume that the interviewer is a professional person, that they do this for a living. And they interview a lot more people than you get interviewed. Just go in with that thought in mind. And that they're going to be judging you from the second you walk in. And so part of our employment planning workshop is that we break it down into the first 5 seconds, the first 50 seconds, and the first 5 minutes. If you do well on those, and we have documents, and we'll put them, don't look for them right now, but they'll be in the drive, they'll be very conspicuously placed. They might be in the Wolfpack too, Rob.
I put them in.
Oh, okay, they're already there, but don't go to them right now. Just focus on me. The first 5 seconds is vitally important. And we've all heard people make decisions whether they like in the first 5 seconds. Anybody not heard that?
Say that again, sir.
People start making decisions on whether they like you in the first 5 seconds of meeting you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's true. In fact, it's less than 5 seconds even.
It's like 3. They just look at you and see.
Okay? So if you focus on that and you say, okay, stage 1, step 1, that first 5 seconds, the first 5 seconds that guy lays eyes on me, I need to be as good as possible. So, you know, what is some of the things you don't want to do?
Joke. Chew bubble gum.
In the first 5 seconds, before you even, the first word comes out of your mouth, right? If you're walking into somebody's office, you open the door, you step in, it's not a good strategy to be stepping in the door saying, hi, how are you? Right?
Good professional initiated.
Well, I'm just saying, the first 5 seconds, there's a lot of nonverbal stuff going on. In fact, it's probably almost all nonverbal in the first 5 seconds.
Look him in the eye.
Yeah, but, you know, don't mad dog them.
I know.
You need to be a likable person. And so the thing to tell yourself is, okay, I'm a likable person before you walk in the door. I'm the most likable person there is. And Tony Robbins has a bunch of videos on that, of incantations that he would do. He doesn't believe in affirmations. Affirmations are these things that you see on Google, or there's one sentence and it changes your life.
I'm sorry, what's the difference between that and an incantation?
Okay, so I'm getting to that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. So an affirmation is just that short little thing. I'm going to repeat this, I'm going to repeat this, I'm going to repeat this. So for Tony Robbins, an incantation is where you take your every cell in your body, and you command yourself to do this. So he describes in the video where he gets prepared for a meeting, he's driving down the freeway, and everybody's looking at him in the car, in his car, saying, you know, do we need to call 911? This guy's going crazy. Well, we need to call the police, because he's just yelling, commanding his body to obey. You know, so that's the difference for Tony Robbins. But if you do a, you know, tell yourself, convince yourself to be a likable person, the most likable person that there is. That's good, because at the end of the day, it's whether most positions and positions that we try to get people for, it's do they like you. We're not doing, you know, finding people to work in a lab with rats, and they don't need to be with us.
Well, you have to have a big car to create it.
Okay, well, or, you know, it's not for people working on their own. This is for social type jobs. So, you know, if they don't like you, it's not going to matter. They have to like you. And the first 5 seconds is where you set that stage. Are you likable? The first 50 seconds is where the verbal stuff starts happening. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. I'm really happy to be here. You know, you need to figure out what type of mood is this person in. Okay, what if they're in a bad mood?
Or what type of person they are.
We're trying to brighten you.
Maybe. That's one strategy. Another strategy might be,
Back off.
yeah, I'm not gonna try to change this guy's mood. Could be just the opposite. He's in a bad mood. For whatever reason he's in a bad mood, I can't fix that, but I don't want to get it worse. Okay? So I want to be professional. When I walk out of here, I don't want the guy to be thinking, I don't want him more upset. Right? Now, what if the guy's in a great mood?
Join in. You better act as join in with
Just
the
Yeah.
You don't want to get him out of that good mood. You don't want to get him frustrated, right? So one thing that's frustrating, and we'll do mock interviews here, one thing that's very frustrating is when a question is asked, the answer is not clearly given. A follow-up question, or let's say the answer is clearly given, but there's a follow-up question. Okay, there's a follow-up question, and then the person answering the follow-up question starts getting kind of kooky. They start getting a little bit tense. So let's say, you know, it's a baking position. Okay. Anybody here know how to bake? Okay, a couple of people. All right. So if I say, okay, so do you know how to bake, Jonathan? Okay. So have you used yeast?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, when you're using yeast, what do you find is the best temperature for the water when you put the yeast in?
This is an interview. We're role playing.
Well, but the only thing I use yeast with is...
Hold on.
Okay. I'm the
Oh, you
interviewer.
come up for an interview?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not.
Okay, I'm interviewing. We're not talking about baking.
40 degrees.
So you don't want the yeast to rise, right?
100 degrees.
Look for warm water.
Okay, we're doing an exercise, a role play here to demonstrate the follow-up question, not the question. Okay? The follow-up question. Okay. So
I wouldn't.
Mike said 100 degrees.
The temperature I found for the rising heat from 100 degrees.
Between 60 and 70.
Okay, so that's not a good answer. The good answer would be about 100 degrees.
Sure.
Okay, you don't need to repeat his question, because some people might get offended by that. Like, I know what I asked you. I didn't ask you what I asked you.
For real?
You got to be prepared for everything. And the better the position, the more the guy who's the interviewer takes his job seriously. Isis, she takes her job seriously. You can tell by the precision she has. So I said, okay, oh, you're a baker. Okay, good. So what temperature do you find is the best to put yeast in water?
I always say about. I always say about.
Well, yeah, I mean, you should say about. But, I mean, whatever. But that's not the key thing. What we're getting to is the follow-up question. Huh. Really? Okay, because I just read something that was, if it's not at least 105 degrees, it's going to take an extra 30% time. And he lost again. Okay? I just made that up.
Right.
Okay?
Where is that written?
Okay? I just made that up. If I'm not having a good day, I'm going to take it out on somebody. My wife yelled at me. I tripped over my kid's toy. I ran over it in the car. But people take this stuff with them.
But if you know that it's 110 degrees, is there a problem with correcting the guy?
Okay, so we'll get to that. So we haven't gotten to that part. So good for tracking, but we're still back on his response, not a better response.
Right.
So I want to see what you're going to say if I question what you say.
I would say, I'm not sure about that. I will check into
I'm just telling you. I just told you. I'm not asking you to check on it. This is what's going through my mind. I might not be saying this verbally. But if I said to you, I just read something that said 105, anything less than 105 degrees is really not good because it's going to take 30% longer. So if you said, I'm going to check on that, is that what I want to hear?
What about?
No.
I'm supposed to say something like, and in my training, this is what I've always done.
Yeah, you have
This is
to
the
be
way I
strong.
was trained, we always did it.
What would you suggest?
Okay, so along those lines, interesting. I was trained at Marriott Hotels, and they had a strict policy. Keep it about 100. Maybe it's because of the type of people that work in the kitchen at Marriott. 100 is good enough. We're not going to get to the precision level of professional bakers. They are doing this all the time, where an extra 3 minutes or an extra 15 minutes is the end of the thing. Okay? But you have to show confidence. So this, again, is where the nonverbals. And what did Tiger Todd say the nonverbals? What percentage is nonverbals? 55%, right? Wasn't it 55?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 55% are the nonverbals. I wanted to test you on your belief and how you would respond to something where I'm basically challenging your version of reality. It's not whether it's true, doesn't matter. It's how you respond. Now, Mark says, what did you say?
Is it okay to tell us, guys, that the answer is 110 degrees?
Okay, so if you say, well, actually it's 110 degrees, that would not, a direct confrontation would not be good.
Right, so...
It would be something like, no, not this is how I learned it, because he's citing a third party. I just read this.
Right.
Okay. If you say, well, I learned it this way, okay, so what you're saying to me is you learned it wrong. Right? That's what I'm saying to myself. Okay, so what he's saying is he learned it wrong.
So don't call him an idiot.
No, well, yeah, don't call him an idiot. But so a thing to do would be,
Yeah, I get you.
I use the Betty Crocker cookbook, and it says about 100 degrees.
Yeah.
I'm glad to know that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what did you just do?
Agree,
You did the same thing he did.
exactly.
Well, what you did is you took it to a professional level.
Right.
Instead of, well, this is how I was trained to do it.
Right.
Oh, so you're a prison cook,
Well,
right?
yeah.
Okay. That's what he's thinking.
Yeah,
Or this, I use the Betty Crocker cookbook, or I use the Hetza, Le Cordon Bleu cookbook, and it says 100 degrees. And it says, in fact, the way you can tell it's 100 degrees is you put your finger under the water, and if it just feels a tiny bit hot, you know it's over 98 degrees. Oh, okay, this guy, that says a lot about me and my answer, right?
Right.
I'm not confrontational, and I'm not defensive. And I didn't get shaken.
Right,
Okay.
they do that in their interviews.
They're trying to find the best person. So that's a good point. Their job, if they're interviewing 10 people, their job is to get as close to 100% certainty that the guy they're choosing is the right guy, that they didn't miss the right guy, that they got the right guy. So it's just like when you're being interrogated by the police. Anything is fair. Okay, yes.
So when you lead back like that with the and then you say that last part, is that the stoicism that you're talking about?
No.
Okay.
No.
Director.
That's just to be non-confrontational, not defensive.
Right.
Okay, I'm not defensive when I say
Right.
Right?
But
Yeah.
During my interviews, my experience, I've had chefs ask me, so if you're going to make some clam chowder, how would you go about it?
Okay, so now, that's another good point. So instead of now talking about a professional interviewer, now we're talking about somebody who's a potential threat, right? That's interviewing.
Right.
The chef, you're going to be working for me. I'm not a professional interviewer. I have my own bag of biases and prejudices and things that I'm taking with me into this thing.
Right.
If you get into an interview, and this is something to make sure you write down and remember, if your interview is not with a professional interviewer,
Right. Not HR, it's the chef.
okay, expect that the do I like you part is even more important.
Right.
Because if I like you and you don't know anything, I don't care because I'm going to train you.
Right.
Okay? You know everything, but I don't like you, I can't work with you.
But he's asking you because you know the basics.
He's
of it.
asking
Are
you,
trainable?
he's asking you really because he wants to see if he likes you. When it comes down to you're going to be working for the person doing the interview, it's about liking you. if they like you, they will train you. They'll find a position for
Very
you.
true, because that's a big question. Can you get along with the other guys when you're being interviewed as a cook?
Okay? Do they like you? If you're being interviewed by a person who is the person you're going to be working for, like is almost the whole game, because they will train you. They will take the time to train you, because they don't want people who are going to be there for 2 weeks or a month or a year. And so if you have to train a guy for a month and he's going to be there for 10 years, is a month really that long? No, it's nothing.
Very short.
To find the guy that's really the guy you like, that could be your replacement in the future. Now, if it's a professional interviewer, they're trained to take their personal baggage and prejudices and put them over here. In fact, the thing is, I don't have to like this person. He has to fit into the department he's working in. And I don't like any of those guys in that department. They're a bunch of nutcases. Huh?
But he's good at what he does.
Yeah. So when I was working with Navy SEALs, who do you think they disliked the most in the service?
The Air Force.
Nope. No. They love SEALs. Nope.
Their boss.
No. They love their boss. Huh? No. Guys on submarines. They hate submarine people. Why? What do you have to be like to be on a submarine? Huh? You just have to be mellow, right? You have to be able to be underwater in this ship and not freak out.
And Navy SEALs aren't like
They would like to be downstairs having a little kitty cat petting it all day. Okay?
Yeah,
Just be very calm.
Shit when they be on the ship over.
Okay? And so if you're a Navy SEAL, you don't want to be like, you don't hang out with submarine guys because they're just too weird. And submarine guys don't hang out with Navy SEAls. But do they appreciate and respect their positions? Absolutely. So the interviewer, if he's a professional interviewer, they are going to take their personal stuff and put it off to the side. So you need to accentuate, you have to be likable, but you need to accentuate how you are the best person for the job, because that's what they're getting paid to find. Send out 100 resumes. On that stack of 100 resumes, you need to find with the closest certainty to the best possible person. All right, so it's break time. Any questions in California?
Any questions, anyone? We very informative. We're good.
Okay, thanks, Dennis. Okay, any questions here?
Thank you.
Yes. What? Did you say you have one?
The question that I had, talking to them,
You.
the question that I have is pertaining